crazy. You really, really do. I've been telling you this for like 15 years or something, and you still do it. Just before he carries on, these comments that he makes about you can't have scrambled eggs like this, or you need this, it's because it's all referring back to me.
Here we go.
So
I'm waiting for you to finish raving on.
Passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt.
Alright, welcome back to the next vid.
hi everybody.
We're in our awesome little bush camp here.
It is really cool. It's like old school camp style kind of a place, I think.
So we're totally off grid. We filled up with water before we got here yesterday.
Yeah, went to town and filled up.
Yeah. And so we're totally off grid. We're totally self-reliant on our batteries for power for the next 6 days.
So we are going to absolutely smash it. We're going to test all the appliances. We're going to use everything that we would normally use if we were hooked up to power or if we're in a house, because we want to see just how far we can push it and see how long it does actually last. So,
and it's a bit rainy and overcast, so there's no actual sun out at the moment.
No.
So since we arrived yesterday afternoon, we haven't had any sun.
No, it was raining. We arrived in like a little storm yesterday.
So at the moment, we're actually about neutral. So the amount of sunlight we're getting is about equal to the amount of amps that we're going out. So we're not really going down. We're sitting at 71% on the batteries. So just to remind you, I'm going to put the video up top here when we went through the battery system before, but we've got the big Enerdrive system here. We've got 600 amps of lithium, which is pretty awesome.
We've got a lot.
Yeah, we've got 1,020 watts of solar on the roof.
We've got a solar farm on the roof.
Yeah, and we've also got a 150 watt solar blanket out the front.
Yeah, we've always had that, so we thought we might as well just hang on to it and take it.
So at the moment, as I said, we're sitting about neutral, so it's the perfect time for us to show you how much power we use when we're on the road.
Yeah.
And with our normal appliances that we would normally use. So we're a very power hungry family. We like our
we do.
We like our appliances.
We've got all our camera batteries, our iPads, phones, watches, laptops.
Yeah.
We do a lot of editing, a lot of photography, and Riley plays lots of games when we're busy working, so charging is always, it's always been a consistent thing for us.
So we've also got the Starlink running at the moment too, so that's also running off 240.
Yeah, that draws a little bit too,
So the inverter's on, the Starlink is on, and we're about neutral.
And we've left it on. Usually if we're really outbacky, we generally turn it off during the night, you know, just in case if it's like rainy and really overcast. We try to save the power a little bit if we know that it's going to be bad weather.
Yeah. We didn't do that last night.
But we didn't do that last night because we actually wanted to just leave it on and we want to see how it goes without switching it on off and just charging everything like we normally do.
So we're going to test everything. We're going to test toasters, we're going to test thermomixes, we're going to test juicers, we're going to test air conditioning.
Yes.
We're going to test chargers, we're going to test laptops, everything.
Yes. So and we're going to show you what it pulls, don't we? Once we got it on, and just show you.
We've got the Simarine here in the caravan, so we're going to be able to show you how much amps each thing is pulling. It's a really good time to do it, as I said, because we are neutral at the moment.
Yeah.
So we've also got the compressor fridge. So we've got the big Dometic fridge, and that's also pulling amps as well at the moment. So yeah, it's a good time to sort of see how we go
and just see what each appliance pulls individually.
Yeah,
so,
I reckon it'd be great.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We actually have not done this before. We sort of look at it and glance at it for certain things, but I'm about to go and make the juices, so let's see how that goes.
All right, well, shall we do that one first?
Yeah, because I'm really thirsty and want my juice.
Well, while Justine's doing that, I'm going to show you what we've got on at the moment. And
see where we're at right now. I think we're at 71%.
71.
We haven't had any, like as what we said, we arrived yesterday, excuse me, and set up in the rain.
And we've had the Starlink going since we arrived.
Yeah, and we've had rain consistently, drizzling. We've had no sun, full sun since we arrived. So I think we're just gonna today's gonna be a bit off and on, I think, as well. We're not gonna get full sun, I don't think. So it'll be interesting.
See how we go. This is our little Simarine display unit. So the actual unit is under the chairs, which I'll show you again a little bit later on. Currently we're on gas hot water, so we're not running electricity hot water. We've got the inverter on, as you can see. So at the moment we're at 71%. It's a bit overcast, and you can see we're actually getting about 2 amps going into the batteries through the solar. So that's bearing in mind that we do have the inverter on, we do have the fridge on, and we do have the Starlink running. So that's sort of our baseline at the moment. So it's good to see. Look, you can see that that's going up now. It's going up to 3 amps, so it must be getting a bit brighter out there. Just to give you an idea, so we have had some pretty cloudy days in the past, and even on really overcast days with our solar farm, we do get pretty much, we can get up to about 25 amps in the middle of the day when it's still cloudy. So that's possibly more than a lot of other people get with their in full sun with their solar. So we are so lucky, but we do have 600 amps to fill. So we're on 71%, so I've used 30, so we've used about 180 amps so far over the last sort of 13, 14 hours. So that's about right for us. As I said, we are pretty power hungry, but all right, so Justine's over here. She's getting everything ready. She's getting everything ready for the juicer. So we've got the carrots, the apples, the watermelon,
kale, celery.
Look at that.
Lemon. Can't fit in the lemon.
How good is that? All right, so we're going to put that on first. We'll show you how it goes. This is what we have here to capture our power. So we have two 300 amp hour lithium batteries. You can see that they are an Enerdrive unit. So they are enormous. And over here, we've got two 40 amp TriStar solar regulators. So we have 3 solar panels on each one. So we've got 3 170 solar panels on each one. So each one of those can push out maximum 40 amps. So we can get up to 80 amps of solar. Never actually got that much, but that's in theory what we can get. This is our DC to DC charger. So you can see that's actually operating at the moment. There's 1.9 amps. Now that's because we've got the solar blanket plugged in outside, and that runs through the DC to DC charger. That's our 60 amp AC to DC charger. Obviously that's not working at the moment because we aren't plugged into mains. And under there, that's our Enerdrive 2600 watt inverter. So all of those appliances, all of those devices work together to give us our power in our van. All right, so first device for the morning is what brand is the juicer? Our Kuvings Juicer. Okay, so Justine's gone off and she's cut up all the fruit and all the veggies to go in there.
It's really good.
So here we go. So at the moment there is let's say 3 amps going into the battery. All right, in total. So let's go. Turn it on.
Let's go see what it does, hey? Riley's juice is first.
Okay. All right, so you can see that's on now. It's running through the inverter. All right, so now you can see that there's now, what do we got? 6 amps. It's going up a bit. But it obviously goes up as it needs more power. So I reckon there's about 9 amps coming out of the battery. So bear in mind that 9 amps doesn't mean there's 9 amps right now. It just means that in the first hour 9 amps would come out of the battery. So that's not too bad. But remember, there were 3 amps going in. So the juicer, I reckon, when it's going full bore, runs 12 amps per hour. So obviously, again, every hour 12 amps would come out. So that's not too bad. Obviously there's no heating element in this. It's the heating elements that tend to really destroy the power.
Yeah, we know the toaster and the kettle kill it.
Yeah, so we'll show you that in a minute.
This is new, so yeah.
Yep. So 12 amps. I'd give that like a plus rating, I reckon, babe. Yeah. For a device. That's pretty good.
So this is Riley's juice.
Alright, well let's move on to the next one. Alright, so the sun's just trying to pop its little head out, so let me show you what's happening. So still at 71%. Now on the Slow Marine, this number here says that if the amount of power going into the batteries remains the same, it'll take 1 day and 15 hours for the batteries to get back up to 100%. Alright, so and if we just scroll down here, so now you can see there's 4 or 5 amps going into the batteries. Again, that's with the Starlink on and the inverter on. Alright, so because the juice is done, this is what we have left. Alright, and there we go. Oh, I wonder which one's mine. Alright, so how long do you reckon we had that juicer on for, babe?
I already had the fruit all cut up, so I reckon 5 minutes, if that. So
5 minutes, yeah, okay. So 5 minutes, it was running at 12 amps. So to juice all that juice, I reckon we would have used up 1 amp. So that's pretty good, 1 amp, and we have 600. So it's not bad. What do you reckon, bub?
So good.
So good. Where's the soakers?
she doesn't need one. She's had a toothbrush.
Did you want a juice, Alan?
You want some of Mummy's juice? Yeah, she would.
She would.
Everybody would like one of these juices.
Brekkie, this morning I'm cooking, and I'm gonna call it Mama's Scrambled Eggs.
It's
because
Dada's scrambled.
No, because this is the way my mum used to cook scrambled eggs. So I'm going to show you how we do it. I reckon it's the best scrambled eggs in the world. There's 3 secret ingredients to these scrambled eggs. Well, you got the eggs, of course, but they're not secret. The first one is you got to have cheese.
Grated
cheese. Because scrambled eggs without cheese, it's just yuck. Right, so I can't have too much because Justine doesn't like cheese.
I actually love cheese. I just can't eat cheese. A lot of it. So
now the other secret ingredient
is ham.
Is you got to have your ham. Now, Mum always sometimes used to put tomato in the egg, but I never really liked that. When she used to make scrambled eggs for my dad, she'd put tomato in it, but I never really liked it. So I may have cut up a bit too much ham there. But anyway.
Riley's helping you.
So that's, you got your ham, you got your cheese. Now the other thing, I don't really understand, but some people make scrambled eggs without milk.
He's talking about me.
I don't really understand how you can have scrambled eggs without milk, because when you break your eggs, you've got to add milk to it. So I'll show you what I mean.
So just before he carries on, these comments that he makes about you can't have scrambled eggs like this, or you need this, it's because it's all referring back to me.
Here we go.
So I can't drink the normal milk, and it's yucky for everyone with almond milk. So everything that he says, it's all referring back to me, and he just enjoys it too much, I think. You're eating all the breakfast.
That's really good. I'm waiting for you to finish raving on.
You're like a cook, aren't you?
So,
come on, Chef Tim.
So there's a little bit of mathematics to this, because there's 3 people who are having eggs. So what I do is that I multiply 3 by 2 to get 6, and I take 1 off, which means I have to crack 5 eggs.
We're not in school. We're cooking breakfast.
Everything is a mathematics lesson for me. So
you're missing your teaching, aren't you, babe? I
am. So you crack your 5 eggs.
I only have 1 egg.
That's why I've only got 5. That ruins the whole formula up. So you're gonna have what you're given. All right. So 3, 4. Look, no shell. How good am I?
You do one-handed?
No.
You do a one-handed crack?
No, I'll get shell on it if I do that. All right. So now I haven't beat it up yet. So again, like some people just put it in the pan and beat it up without beating it up first. This is what
me
makes
again.
it.
I crack it straight into the pan to avoid extra washing up when we don't have water attached. So I'm actually thinking water-wise.
We're not using water.
I know, but to wash up, you got to wash up this container that you've just put all your eggs in that you don't need to.
So you got your milk. So you want to add just enough, just to. Yeah, see, that's perfect now. All right. Mm-hmm. Now what you do is you got to beat it up first. You got to get it nice and frothy and light. So you get your fork, and away you go. Look at the colour now. You see that? That's like liquid gold. Now there is a bit of an issue that we will have, because when I was little, Mum used to cook in aluminium pans, stainless steel, I think it was. And you could just use a fork and you could just whip it in the actual saucepan. But we've got some of these new fandangled pans that we can't use forks in, so it's not going to be 100% perfect, but we're going to just use a wooden spoon, I guess.
I'll give you a wooden spoon.
Yeah. Okay. Justine's going to figure out what I'm going to use. So, all right, so that's that. Now notice there's no power going on here, just power from me.
I think that you're actually enjoying this way too much.
All right, so let's get cooking.
This is the cleanest I think you've ever prepped something. Okay, so while we're just doing the whole brekkie cooking scenario, we just thought we'd show you our pans that we use. This is one lot.
Yeah.
They all come with a detachable handle.
So these are great because we got these from BCF, and you know, the last thing you want to do is put your pan in your drawer with this long handle sticking out because it takes up way too much room. So just flips off there. We've also got this other one that we got from another camping store. This one's actually my favourite. I love this one.
Just another one. We'll probably do a full vid on all our bits and pieces, I think. And just show you, even setting it up on the cooker here.
Yeah.
You can fit a lot more pans on there without the handles on.
So with this cooker, the red one is you actually use for stir fries and things because it gets really hot. So what you can do, you can flip that over and you can put your wok like that and away you go. Did you know that?
I did, but we don't use it.
No. Alright, so let's go. Look at that, hey? Now that's like the best base you can have. This is just so easy.
I would have waited for the pan to get hot.
No, well I did. But the trick with this is, right, is you've got to keep stirring. Right? If you stop stirring, you're going to end up with an omelette. So keep stirring, keep stirring, keep stirring, and be patient. Now notice I haven't added the cheese or the ham yet.
Yes, chef.
Because that's the very last thing that goes on. The biggest issue you have with wooden spoons is that you end up with chunks of egg. I don't like that. You're meant to have like little bits of egg, not these big chunks. Anyway, it's okay. Alright, so now it's starting to turn. You got to get ready to add your secret ingredients. So here we go. You're going to add, let's see if I go, hopefully I can do this without spilling any. Alright, so there we go. Look at that. Mate.
You're like so excited, aren't you?
I love this.
Love
it reminds me of being a child. Okay, now you don't want to overcook it either. Now you notice this consistency? It's still quite watery. Okay. This is good. It's not dry.
Again, that's towards me.
No, it's not. You're a good cook. You just don't know how to cook scrambled eggs.
Excuse me?
I think I'll be letting Tim cook for the day.
Excuse me, Riley.
Yeah, Riley's sticking up for me. Thanks, Riley.
She does know how to cook, Dad.
I said that. See, this is what happens in our... Oh, look, see. It's bad. Here we go. See, the chunks are a bit hard. That's because we're using the wooden spoon, because Justine won't let me use a fork in this pan.
It's a non-stick pan. You would destroy it with metal like all the other ones we've had to throw out and replace.
Alright.
Just like home.
Alright, nearly done, nearly done, nearly done. Look at that, and time to come off the heat. Mate, look at it. Mate, you want to taste it?
No, I'll burn my mouth.
That's really good. So we're putting in 7.5 amps currently, are going into the battery. So now Justine's going to put the toaster on. Here's our little toaster. We got this on special from Harris Scarf.
Yeah,
This is great.
Just a random
this
buy.
is exactly what we wanted because it's a 4-piece toaster. All right. So we've had these before. One previously we had last us for years.
It lasted us like over 10 years.
All right. So Justine's going to pop this on and let's watch what happens to the amps. This is always super interesting. All right. Here we go. So pop it on, babe. All right. Look at that. So it's 105 amps going out of the toaster, which is pretty 100 and we'll call it 105. So there was 7 amps going in, 105 coming out now. All right. So that means the toaster uses up 112 amps. All right. So now obviously that's in an hour. So what that means is that if we had this on constantly, we could run the toaster constantly for about 5 hours before the battery died, which is still pretty good. So obviously it's not going to be running for an hour. All right, it's going to be running probably for, I don't know, 5 minutes or something. But right now, you probably can't hear it. But the inverter has this little fan going because it draws so much power at the same time. So this is one of the advantages of having lithium batteries, because lithium can handle high amp drawage. Right. In theory, you can still run all this with AGM batteries, but the problem is with AGM batteries, they can't withstand high amps coming out of them, you know, for a long period of time. So in theory, it would still work, but I think in practice they probably don't.
You drive me crazy. You really, really do.
What have I done now?
You put the broken shells in here all the time in the empty part, and I've got egg now all through here. It attracts ants, it attracts bugs. I can't. I've been telling you this for like 15 years or something, and you still do it.
Close is up, but it's not finished. So a bit more?
Yes, you'll have to come down for a bit more,
Yep.
Timothy. Thanks.
Yep.
I'll just clean up your mess.
Oh, thanks, mate. That's what you did for. Paid $15 for that.
Yes.
I've just saved us money.
Yes, they would.
Soka wants some.
She always wants food.
Alright, so look, this is our little solar blanket here. So this is a Redarc 150 watt solar blanket. Okay, now the reason I like this is that the sun's coming out now, which is really great. So we can move this blanket. It's got a really long lead. We can move this blanket to anywhere where there's sun. All right, and this is pushing in probably nearly 5 amps now, which is pretty good. So this just goes into the front of our drawbar over here. So we've got an Anderson plug there, is there? That just plugs into there. Okay, so that goes straight into the DC to DC converter, which goes into the batteries. And you can see by looking at the Caravan, even though there is some sun coming out, the solar panels are under a little bit of shade still because we're right in the middle of the bush here.
Okay, so while we're actually talking about all the power and the solar, just because we might just throw in an extra couple of off-grid things that we do. I know that we've put it in the video before, this rain thingy, I don't even know what it's called.
The gutter system.
The gutter system. That's the more technical term, apparently.
I'm just getting the ram in the frame.
Yeah, the ram. Because it was raining and we arrived in a storm, once we were wet anyway, so we just kept setting up in the rain and just got soaked yesterday. But because we're not attached to water, and water's, 10, 15 minutes into town, we still won't go back to our old style of collecting water in the buckets.
So we got all this rain, in about an hour all this water in about an hour last night.
Yeah, pretty much. And we just use this now for, I'm using it for washing up, so it just saves us using the water that's in there. So I'll just actually use this. If I've got, at the moment the juice is inside, so I'll probably just use this bucket out here to rinse all the excess stuff off it. And then I'll use a bit more of the fresh water into the sink, and I still wash up in the sink. I just put the fresh rainwater into the sink and wash up.
Yep.
That was actually on the corner of the Caravan last night.
All right.
I left it there last night, so that's actually collected most of that rain over last night, whereas I used a lot of this yesterday, like last night, washing up from when we cooked on the barbie and stuff. So it's awesome because we haven't actually had to use all this extra water to wash up with. So anyway, we just thought we'd show you. It's so easy just to collect water and use nature to survive.
Mate, you're looking good.
The sun, look at the sun coming out. It's
let's
supposed
go.
to be really overcast today, and the sun is just pumping in. I'm loving it. I love this. Like I said, we get so excited when we can live for free. It's awesome.
Do you know what else is looking good?
The ram's looking dirty.
The ram. All right, so a lot of the questions that get asked of people if they have an off-grid system is, can you run your aircon in the Caravan off-grid? And the answer is, well, in our case, the answer is yes, definitely you can. Now, whether you can do that with every single unit, it really comes down to two things. The first thing is, what size inverter do you have? So if you've got an inverter of under 2,000 watts, the answer is probably going to be no. You won't be able to run your aircon because during that first, 10, 15, 20 minutes of runtime, especially on a hot day, the aircon's going to be drawing a lot of power. Now, unless you have 2,600 watts of power through your inverter, it's not going to be able to keep up. it's just going to keep tripping out. So you need to have an inverter of really, I reckon, 2600 watts or above. The next thing you need is you'll need a really good battery system. Now, my recommendation is definitely go the lithium, because with the lithium system, you'll be able to use the entire amperage of the lithium batteries, or pretty close to 90%. So if you have 100 amps of lithium, you'll be able to use about 95 amps of worth of power. If you have an AGM unit, if you have 100 amps of AGM, you're only going to be able to use about 50 amps of the AGM. So the Cymarine is telling us that we have 72% battery, and if the amount of solar we're getting at the moment were to continue, it would take 18 hours to get back to 100%. So in that sort of, in the current sort of overcast conditions, we're not going to get to 100% today, but we'll see how we go. So if I just push this button, so what it's saying now is that the solar panels at the moment are pushing in 13.6, 13.5 amps into the batteries. And it's still saying there's 17 hours. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the air conditioning on, and we're going to see what happens to how many amps it actually starts to draw. Alright, so what we have here is that we have the Trauma Aventa air conditioning. Now, in our previous caravan, we had the Dometic Ibis 4, and I have to say, just giving a really quick review and a quick compare, I think the Dometic system is a much better unit. I think it's able to withstand much higher temperatures. I think it gets colder, and it's definitely a lot quieter. This unit is quite noisy, and I don't think when it gets hot, I don't think it can actually get the van as cool as what the Dometic can. The reason I think Sunseeker put this air conditioning unit into the van is that apparently it draws less amps. Now, whether or not that's true or not, I never tested this with our previous caravan, so I can't tell you, but that's what the documentation says. It draws about 10-20% less amps. So I think in an off-grid situation, maybe it might work a lot better. But I think if you're going to be spending a lot of your time, plugged into mains, my recommendation is go the Dometic, because I just think it's a lot better. Alright, so I've just popped the air conditioning on now. So currently I've got it set to 21 degrees, and I've got the fan on 2. So let's have a look at what it does. So now it's saying it's pulling 45 amps out of the batteries, 46 amps. I'm pretty sure that's going to go up pretty significantly once it starts working a little bit harder. So what that means is that if we were to have this on now, I'll put that back. If we were to have this on now, we could run the air conditioning on at its current draw for nearly 5 hours. So bearing in mind there's not a lot of solar going in at the moment, if we had more solar, so if we were in full sun, so I've actually seen our van in full sun push in 60 amps. So if we were in full sun, we could be running this air conditioning unit basically from the sun, because it's pulling 45 plus the 13 what it was before we turned it on. So I was pulling about 48, 60 amps. So sorry, 58, 60 amps. So we could, in theory, in full sun, be running this air conditioning for free without having any draw whatsoever. So just feeling the aircon, so it's definitely quite cool. There's not a problem with the fact it works quite well. I just don't think it works as well as the Dometic. Alright, so Justine's just stepped out with Riley, so I'm going to try to get into her good books, but also I wanted to show you, we've got our little induction cooker out. This is an absolute ripper, this little induction cooker. We've been cooking outside quite a bit with this. It's been just terrific because it just plugs into mains, but I'm going to make her a cup of tea. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this bad boy on. So currently there's 20 amps going into the battery. Alright, 21 amps. So the sun is coming out a bit, which is good. So I'm going to turn this on and we're going to boil some water. So we just push the boil button. Alright, now these things are bloody awesome. Okay, bloody awesome, because it doesn't take up much time for them to work. In fact, you watch, this thing's going to be boiling in like literally like 2 minutes. But let's have a look at this. So this is now on, it's boiling the water and it's pulling 100 amps. So bear in mind that we had the 20 amps going in, so it does pull a bit of power, 120 amps. So this pulls more than the toaster, or about the same as the toaster, I think. Definitely more the air conditioning. But look, it's practically, this thing will be boiled in literally any time. So I'm going to show you. Okay, so literally 2 minutes later, the water is boiling. So, hi. I got a surprise for you.
What are you doing?
I made you a cup of tea.
Is it a rum?
No.
I'm joking. It's way too early for that.
It's only 10 o'clock in the
You made
morning.
a cup of tea.
Is it good?
It's really good.
It's made with love, baby.
Thank you, baby.
I know what I want.
But what do you want, mate?
Can you make me hot chocolate, please?
Sure, I can.
Yay!
Okay, so I'm just about to sit down and start editing this video. So what I've got is I've got my MacBook Pro here, 16-inch. Alright, so let's see how much that, how many amps that pulls. So right now, the solar's putting in it's about around 7 amps. Alright, so let's turn it on, start charging. Alright, so that's charging. Alright, so let's have a look. Difficult to say because, okay, so it's going down to 5. Yeah, so I reckon that the MacBook Pro charging, it pulls around 2 amps, so every hour 2 amps, which is actually pretty good. Pretty happy about that. The sun's coming out a bit too, so this is not a very scientific test. Okay, so lunchtime and phase 2 of our power consumption journey. So Riley's already got his lunch. So what have you got, buddy?
Sweet seaweed biscuit, hummus, ham and cheese, sandwiches, I guess.
Mate, who came up with this recipe?
Me. Wait, no, Daddy.
That's it. I love this. So seaweed biscuits, hummus, cheese, and ham. I tell you what, all together, it's bonza, isn't it, mate? Mm-hmm. Isn't that great?
I love it so much.
All right, but Justine and I are about to have our lunch, so.
Well, it's really
What have we
still pretty hot, and the wind's actually died down a little bit, so it's quite it's a bit sticky, so it's just a bit hot to eat.
Yeah, I reckon.
So we're just having our smoothies
All right.
for lunch, but we wanted to see what power it was going to draw, so that's why we've decided to.
All right, so we've got
I'll swap
this
sides
little,
with you.
Yeah, so we've got this little protein drink, well, meal replacement smoothie.
Yeah, it's like sort of like a meal replacement, really. So we get all our stuff from Metagenics.
So you can see that our power's gone up now, up to 78%. Currently pushing in 8 amps. So earlier on today, or about an hour ago, we're actually getting like 30 amps, but it's sort of crowded over again.
But we've gone up to 78% since this morning.
Yeah, no, it's good. So,
are we good for me to...
yeah, 8 amps. Right, away you go. So, so what have we got? We've got the Nutribullet.
Yeah.
Alright. Alright, so away you go, mate, on 8 amps. Well, that was actually super surprising. It was only on for literally like 10 seconds, but that pulled like 110 amps. That's probably the biggest appliance that we've had that doesn't heat, but actually draws amps. So that's really surprising. Obviously, it's only on for a little bit. All right. Well, the hope that we had that it had turned out to be a sunny day sort of evaporated.
Well, the weather was correct then, wasn't
Probably
it?
around lunchtime. We haven't had much sun, so we're battery's got up to about 79%, but they're on the way back down again now.
But it's still pretty good
Yeah.
for what we've
Yeah.
used today. We've
have.
used every
That's going pretty good.
electrical appliance except for one.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
the Thermomix we actually forgot about.
We haven't done the Thermomix.
But I couldn't be bothered to get it all out right again and do it all again. But
We're going to have a lazy afternoon and a lazy evening.
we are a nice quiet one.
Maybe we might treat ourselves to pizza or something down in town. What do you reckon?
I don't even know if I could be bothered to do that.
Oh, you'll be right there. All right, so that's the end of the vid. I hope you enjoyed it. It was lots of fun to make.
Yes, and tomorrow will be an even better day because
yeah.
we're going to get out, the sun will be shining,
Yep.
and we'll get the paddleboard out on the river.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really nice.
Maybe see a nice sunset.
Well, apparently we can see a really nice sunrise from this park, actually. So,
well, that works for me.
If Tim can convince me to get up that early and hike up a mountain, like a goat's track mountain.
Yeah, no, there's zero chance of that.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see you on the weekend.
See ya.
Yeah.